If you're not too confident with a short ball, this is a really nice drill. Get someone 2 or 3 meters away from you and get him to throw underarm straight at your head. And then it's up to you to get your head out of the line. Either on the left hand side, a nice pull shot in front of square, or you get rock back to the offside and play a hook shot down to fine leg. I used to do this drill a lot with Ray Jennings and Mark Boucher back in the day, and it helped me a lot. And across. It's obviously important when they've got a square leg and a fine leg out to keep the ball on the ground. The further the ball goes outside of your eye line, the harder it is to keep it down. So you really have to get onto your toes and make sure you roll over. I'm covering this shot through mid-wicket, or the leg glance. Like most shots in cricket, you don't have to overheat this one. It's all about timing. A couple of important parts for me about this shot is my back lift. Alright, I do my back in across, and then instead of getting back into plane, I come straight from first slip through to the leg side. I wait to pick up the line of the ball, and from there on, when I realize it's on the leg side, I don't come back into the plane. I leave my bat out at first slip to open up space in order for me to hit it to the leg side. I get the left leg out of the way, or I pull it back slightly the minute I pick up the line of the ball. When I realize it's on the leg side, I pull it out of the way in order for me to create space for my arms to come through on the leg side. If I get too big a stride in, I'll cramp myself and I'll probably get it out to LBW if that line is on leg stump, because then there's no room for your arms to come through and to time that leg lance through the leg side. When I pull my foot back in order for me to create some space for my arms, it's very important not to lose my balance. Most players around the world lose their balance to the offside and therefore lose a lot of power and timing down to the leg side. You'll find a lot of balls go down to fine leg and not through mid-wicket where it should be penetrating. If you get your leg back, make sure your balance still goes towards that pitch map that I spoke about in the previous episode, and you get it to drive through on the leg side. And what goes hand in hand with that when you pull your leg back is not to come across with your right leg. A lot of players around the world will hit the leg side shot and open themselves up by moving the right leg forward. You've got to keep that right leg intact in order for you to create a lot of power through the leg side and not to lose your balance. A lot of guys do that. Got it. Let's hit some balls. Notice when I play this shot, I still stay in my box. In order for me to get a lot of power on the ball, you've got to play it nice and late. Never leave your box. Leading edges will come into play and you'll start missing the ball also onto your pads. See with that shot, I didn't come across with my right leg, even though the ball was quite a little bit of a distance down leg and very easy for me to walk across. I still kept my shape and made sure that everything was lined up where I wanted to hit the ball. To get the perfect timing with this shot, it's really important still to steer with your front arm or your left arm when you're a right-handed batter, and then at the minute of contact, then you can get the right arm involved, and that's where the flick comes in, and that's where you can manipulate it through any area on the leg side. That was a good example of the right wrist doing a lot of work. Because the pitch of the ball was a little bit shorter, I couldn't go for too long with my left arm, otherwise I would have left the box. So it was really important for me to go nice and late and then let the right wrist do the work and work it down to the leg side.
That's a fine shot.
It took a bit of time, and watching myself for years on TV and some of my highlights, realizing when you time the ball better and when not, I sort of come up with a bit of a rhythm with my bat, jumping it up and down, And then at the point of release, with my trigger, I drop my hands, try and drop my bats and hands a little bit in order for it to go up again. It just feels natural for something to go down and then up. Instead of keeping it there the whole time, I feel a bit static. I've tried it before. I've tried to keep it here and just play like that. It also felt a little bit uncomfortable to me. The most important thing to me is to have the rhythm and to be still at the point of release, but to be in that strong position with your feet and with the back lift. And then I'm ready to go.
It's a 52 ball 100 for AB de Villiers.
So I'll take my stance, which is normally about shoulder width apart. This has come for many years. I mean, this is what feels comfortable to me. It's changed though. It's changed slightly over the years. A little bit bigger, a little bit wider, a little bit lower. Lots of things have changed. My left foot's been open before, it's been closed before. And there's nothing wrong with that. There's no right and wrong. As long as I feel comfortable at that specific day and confident that I'm prepared. So the day before, I'll hit a couple of balls. I won't hit it too well. I'll try and open my foot a little bit, keep the shoulder nice and square. I'll close it a bit until I hit the ball well. I'll walk out in the middle the next day and I'm ready to go. It might still not feel comfortable and I'll tweak again, and it's okay to tweak in the middle of the game. There's no right way. You don't have to stay the same throughout the game. You can change as long as you have made the decision and you don't have any doubt in your mind. That's the most important thing to me. So once I'm comfortable with my stance the day before the game, you tend to get different wickets wherever you go across the world. I'm talking about subcontinent wickets, wickets in Australia, wickets in South Africa. I like to go to the subcontinent with a much lower stance. I feel because the ball's so slow and it gets a little bit of slow tennis bally bounce, you have to drive low through the ball. The minute you're upright there, like I like to be in Australia and South Africa, you tend to hit the ball in the air much more often. So subcontinent conditions, I do bend my knees a little bit more and try and drive through the ball because that forces me to hit the ball a bit later. When you're upright, you've got nothing that's forcing you to hit the ball later. You just go on feel. Alright, so slower tennis ball bouncy wickets, low in your stance. Quick wickets, it's nipping around, it's got good quality bounce. You can be a little bit more upright and trust your hands to the ball. It's important to play everything under your eyes, not to let it go out of the box. I always talk about a little box that's around me. I don't want any part of my bat, feet, head, nothing to leave this box. Everything must happen in this box because that's where I have all my power, right here in this box. Everything to be played right here. In golf, they talk about a compact golf swing. You got to feel like you almost swing in a box, and it's the same with my batting. I like to feel that I'm really pushed into a box and that I'm not allowed to leave this box. All right, I've got to play the ball within this box as well. The box will be different for every guy. For bigger guys, it will obviously be a little bit bigger. For me, I don't like to take too big a stride because when the ball swings in, it'll hit me on my pad. So my strides are normally a little bit smaller, and I draw this box right around me. So I want to play the ball in this box. My hands are not allowed to leave this box because then I hit the ball in the air, and I'm a big candidate for a nick-off then. All right, so everything under your eyes, allow the ball to bounce and come into your box, and this is where you have all your power. This is where you can really, really cause havoc. The basics of a defensive block, a late defensive block, very similar to that of a cover drive. Obviously cover drive, you're looking to score some runs, you're looking to get 2, 3 or 4, but the basics stay the same. Alright, I spoke about the box earlier. You still got to stay in that box. You still got to have that nice high elbow. You still got to hit the ball late. The only difference is you're leaning into it a bit more, with more body weight, looking to score some runs. If you play it early, you're a big candidate of nicking it off and you might hit it in the air. Playing the cover drive, a lot of people will say it's a textbook shot, but to me it still comes with a lot of instinct. It's all about picking up the length as early as possible. Alright, the difference between a defensive block and a cover drive is so small. I mean, it's a matter of inches and you've got a cover drive. a couple of inches shorter than that, and you've got to play the late offensive block. So the positions are very similar. You've just got to pick up that length as early as possible. Notice how I lead with my head. Alright, it's very important not to hang back with your head, because then you will leave the box with your hands. Your head and your hands have got to go together in order for you to stay in your box, and in order for you to play that ball nice and late. If you face the first ball of an innings and it's in half volley, you've got to trust your instinct and play your cover drive or your straight drive. But to me, more often than not, 9 out of 10 times, you have to earn the right to play your cover drive. What I mean by earning the right is really assessing the conditions, understanding the flow of the game, and reading what the bowlers are trying to do. You can't just come in when a bowler's in top form and just think that you're going to get cover drives all along. You've got to earn the right. You've got to play the defensive stroke and play it nice and late. Stay in your box. And when that moment comes around, when you get that sniff, the cover drive will be all yours.
That's a fine shot.
From Eddie de Villiers. This has been an innings of some acceleration.
This is cricket yard. The grip's an important part of the game. This is how I do it. Alright, so to get pretty technical, which I don't like to do normally, but it's important to get technical with the grip, because if your grip's not right, you're gonna have to be an exceptional player to succeed. So if you make a little V with your hand, with your thumb and your index finger, and you run it down the left side of this bat, you come up to more or less this angle here on the grip. That's where I like to have my V of my left hand. Alright. And same with my right hand. I put it pretty much in the same spot there, just on the left hand side of the left edge of the bat. Alright, if I get the V's right, just on the left there of the middle of the top of the grip, I sort of just grip it then. When I hold it, it's important not to have an angle on your wrist. Alright, it must be really firm straight down, not bend this way or that way. And right throughout your shot, it needs to stay similar to this. Alright, this gives you really strong power in steering the ball wherever you want to. Your right hand is obviously the power hand. They talk often about the bottom hand, so this is the right hand for a right-handed batter. Also, I like to have the view in a similar kind of line, but with this hand, you only hold with the 2 fingers. Alright, so don't worry if you can't get all the fingers on. More often than not, you'll only have 2 fingers on the bat. Make sure it's nice and tight on there, and every now and then your fingers will get on, but it will happen naturally. Don't think about it. These 2 fingers are the most important. Get it on that line, on the same line as your left hand, and then once you feel comfortable, you're ready to go. I can think of some of my friends, a guy like Graham Smith, who was an incredible cricket player, but his grip was very strong on his left hand, which meant that he had a bit of a bent on his wrist and a very closed face. He still made it work because he's a very talented human being, but it sort of limited him in some of the shots, especially through the offside. He found it really difficult to open up his bat. Whereas if you have this strong grip running down the left hand side of the bat, you are open to play the ball wherever you want to. You can hit it through point, you can work it to the leg side, you can pretty much play it 360 degrees around the field. In a very funny way, the pull shot and the late defensive shot goes hand in hand. If you play both of them really well, the bowler's under big pressure, especially the pull shot. I use the pull shot to put pressure on the bowler. Once I master that shot and I've got a good late defensive stroke, the bowler has got a long day ahead of him. Technically with the pull shot, to start off with, the stance. So I do my normal back and across trigger. Now very important for me, and mentally for the bowler, against the bowler as well, is your next movement to be going forward. So I like to do the back and across, be really still. When I see it short, I do a little press with my front foot in order for me to really get my momentum moving forward. And from there on, I rock back with my back foot, going across a little bit, and to get into good position to play the pull shot. Notice how I use my back foot to really stabilize myself and to get into strong position. When you're not into a good position, you will tend to commit yourself to the shot and you won't be able to pull out when there's a bit of bounce. When I'm in a solid position with my feet, there's always time to pull out of the shot when there's a little bit of bounce and when it's getting too steep on you. To really free up my arms, it's important for the ball not to be in line with my head. Just outside, so I can free up my arms on the offside, or just outside the leg side, so I can play a hook shot down to fine leg. But never in my throat, head area, because because that'll cramp you and it'll all go straight up. Ideally, for the pull shot, the ball should be just outside your eye line. Never get a short ball to be coming straight at your head, because that'll mean you'll be taking your eyes off the ball. Really important with the pull shot, when you get into a good position, for the right arm to extend. Never keep this right arm bent through the shot. The right arm's got to extend, almost like a forearm tennis shot, if you know what I mean. And also, when you speak about a forearm tennis shot, you know that you do a bit of topspin, you've got to have the same kind of action with a pull shot. So, extend your arm, let the wrist roll through the ball. It's really important to rock forward first, in order for you to get into a good solid position with your front foot. From there on, the pull shot's very instinctive. You get a bit of stability on your back foot and you let your arms just flow through the ball. Remember, right arm has got to extend a bit. I extend my right arm as much as possible in order for me to get the ball nice and in front of square. It's obviously important when they've got a square leg and a fine leg out to keep the ball on the ground. The further the ball goes outside your eye line, the harder it is to keep it down. So you really have to get onto your toes and make sure you roll over. To me, playing the short ball or the pull shot is an instinctive shot. So there's already a lot of power involved. There's no need to overhit it. I always just try and time it and make sure I place it in good areas. And when the time is right and you're in a good position, you can always go for the big one. I like to start with a check cover drive instead of a full cover drive. That forces me to get into a better position when I'm checking it. I play this kind of shot a lot in the UK, where the ball's nipping around a bit and swinging a lot. It's really important for me to stay in that box and to make sure I check it and not try and overhit it. So the minute I overhit it, my hands tend to leave that box a little bit too early. You can use that only when you're really in, when you're on 100 or 50 plus and you're feeling confident and you're ready to take the game away from the opposition. Then you can start searching and hitting through the line of the ball. That is a good example of a check drive. I didn't allow my hands just to free up, so I didn't open up too much and bring the slips into play. I really got my head and my hands there at the same time, checking the ball and not trying to overhit it.
That's a fine shot.
This has been an innings of some acceleration.
This is cricket yard. The wicket's gone down, I'm at the crease and I'm ready to go. Let me show you what I do. Pretty nervous, but it's important not to show weakness. I'm well prepared. I know that my body language is important. I know to watch the ball is important, and I know exactly what to do. But I'm still nervous and I can feel it. But it's important not to show them, the opposition, the bowler, the wicketkeeper, the captain. They're not allowed to see any sort of weakness. So every movement I make, even if it's just taking my guard, it's got to be confident, strong body language. I make my mark and I'm ready to bat. I make eye contact with my opposition, because today I'm going to dominate. Before I face my first ball, the nerves are always running high. Some guys might come and chirp me, try and get me off my game. But it's important for me to take it as a compliment, because I know that they know if they don't get me out, I'm going to win the game. So remember, AB, self-confidence, good body language, watch the ball and dominate this cricket game.
Has he found the gap? Yes, he has.